What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined always. Sorry, Jack just texted me. Joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers continue their head coaching search. They add 2 more names to the list. Meanwhile, some details on the Mike Tomlin goodbye speech have been revealed. And let me tell you, as a Steelers fan, it should hit you real hard. And not the big name, but the second big name that we'll talk about. Plus, we're going to make some bold predictions. Usually we make game bold predictions, but let's make some coaching search bold predictions as we head into what is going to be a fun couple of weeks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. As always, before we get going here, hit that like and subscribe button. Can't thank you guys enough. We are about to hit 56, which is so close to 60. It's a snowy one here in the Berg, just a little bit. How you feeling, my friend?
Un poco, just a little bit of snow. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling a little emotional. I mean, shout out to, we'll dive into this a little bit more, but I think now that there's a little bit of time, the shock has passed from Mike Tomlin stepping down. Here comes some more emotions. You know what I mean? They're coming out of the woodwork. We're hearing about how much this is affecting people on a personal level. And we talked about this recently. We're both, when growing up, fans of Pittsburgh sports, and I'm a Pittsburgh kid, and it's kind of crazy seeing how much, change and sadness, a little bit of grief, a little bit of love persisting, carrying on. So, I'm doing great, and I'm excited to talk about a little different side of what's going on here with the Pittsburgh Steelers as this coaching search gets underway.
Me too. I think it was a good moment. I've enjoyed these, Calvin Austin, Jonnu Smith gave us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain the day after it happens. But now, shout out to the Athletics' Mike DeFabo, who really peeled back the curtain in an incredible way. But we'll get there. First, I want us to talk about the 2 coaching candidates that the Pittsburgh Steelers brought in or are requesting to bring in as of today. That is Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley and Carolina Panthers defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero. Great resumes on both, including Hafley, who spent a couple of years at the University of Pittsburgh, not with Pat Narduzzi. So those of you who are not a Pat fan, you don't have to worry here. What's your thoughts on these names? 2 guys, a little bit older, have some experience in the NFL, but still some defensive-minded coaches, which show you exactly the direction the Pittsburgh Steelers seem to be headed in right now.
Absolutely. I mean, the type, the mold, the same type of archetype for this next head coach seems to be in place. We've talked about maybe seeing more offensive minds being added to the list. Well, these 2 latest ones are anything but that. And it's quite impressive. You go through their resumes, and the year the Pittsburgh Steelers are hiring Mike Tomlin, Ejiro Evero, and apologies if I am mispronouncing his first name. Yeah. He was hired in Tampa Bay as a quality control coach, kickstarting his career just 26 years old. So we look at a guy who has extensive NFL resume right there. That's the first thing about Evero that caught my eye. And really, this Carolina Panthers defense under his watch over the past couple of years, not spectacular in terms of the metrics, but fearsome, physical. You hear tough to play against whenever these Panthers defenses have been described. And I think that really is a testament. And the thing, again, that really sticks out about Evero is that he was brought into Carolina by former head coach Frank Reich. Frank Reich gets fired. New head coach Dave Canales comes in and goes, yeah, I'm going to retain this guy because he's pretty awesome. And he's still just 45 years old. So a little bit outside of the ideal age range, but still a young coach. And Jeff Hafley seems like another one of those hot commodities, rising targets, much in the Chris Scholla vein, where it seems like he has caught fire, and he also has head coaching experience, and you have to love that. Was at the NCAA level with Boston College, but again, another guy with an extensive resume, head coaching experience, a lot to like about the types of coaches the Pittsburgh Steelers are bringing in here with their first 7 candidates here that they're going to interview.
I agree. Does the Hafley situation, him being a head coach in college, does it improve things? Does it make things? He has a resume in the NFL. I mean, this guy's spent time with Tampa Bay, Cleveland, San Francisco, but most of his career is spent working his way up into the college level. And then he's got 1 year, well, I guess 2 years as the Green Bay Packers defensive coordinator, which has been a good defense. Let's not act like it hasn't been a good defense. But a lot of time in college. Does that throw you off a little bit? I don't want to say it does throw you off. I don't want to lead this question one way or another. Just straightforward. What are your thoughts on him having more of a college resume than an NFL resume?
I think I would just maybe push back on that too much. Yes, four seasons here between 2020 and 2023 spent as the head coach of Boston College, but going back before that, he was a defensive backs coach for the San Francisco 49ers, before that with the Cleveland Browns, and before that with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all before he did depart for the college ranks. So while I have expressed, concern about lifelong college coaches or coaches who are just trying to make that transition to the NFL for the first time, and I'm sort of hoping the Steelers shy away from that, I wouldn't put Jeff Hafley into that sort of bucket.
Okay.
I think in this specific case, because he has so much NFL experience in addition to the head coaching experience with Boston College, it's a plus for him. And if he only had that, I would say maybe I'm not quite impressed, or maybe that doesn't quite translate in my mind. But when you have all of this NFL experience and then he takes over a program, results are sort of a mixed bag as far as how things went up there in Boston College. But I think it's a plus for him overall, especially with the Pittsburgh Steelers looking for that leader that Art Rooney II was talking about.
So I'll toss my thought out here as straightforward as I could, and you feel free to disagree. I look at both of these names, which are impressive names. Don't get me wrong, but they are very low on the totem pole of coaches that seem to be out there right now. They don't have the interest. Avero, I haven't heard anywhere but Pittsburgh, and maybe I'm just too concentrated on Pittsburgh. But I look at both of them and just say they're kind of fillers. The Steelers want to make sure that they have a type and that they are highlighting that type, and that they aren't missing a turn. I'm not saying that they have no chance. I'm just saying that I don't know if either of these guys are coming in here as a top 5 candidate in Pittsburgh. It kind of feels like the first couple of guys, you were like, oh, the Steelers know exactly who they want. And then the next couple of guys, it was like, okay, let's go some fillers. And then, we'll get into bold predictions here in a little bit, but I feel like the next cycle that's going to come is going to be the odds and ends big names. Let's throw some darts against the wall with some Clint Kubiaks and see if for some reason he's interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You know what I mean? Like something, I'm not saying he'd be a favorite. I'm just saying bigger name, that kind of stuff. Also, Fieldhouse just got scheduled for tomorrow in Pittsburgh.
Nice. So I think that goes Hafley's the first interview and then Shieldhouse? Is that maybe my information is incorrectamundo, but that's a great start. While you confirm, what I'll say is I think it is surprising that after an exciting first 5 coaches that the Pittsburgh Steelers reached out to, these are the 2 that they follow up with, right? And I think it's because I was fully expecting them to go after, or not go after, but to request a Clint Kubiak, to request one of these, top offensive coordinators. Like I wrote about Declan Doyle of the Chicago Bears, and I wrote about Grant Udinski of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like I thought it would be one of those surprising, really kind of perks your ears up type of offensive coordinators that were going to come in this next wave of requests. That being said, again, I think this mold of what the Rooney et al. Group is looking for, it's very clear, right? Yes. Regardless of what side of the ball they're looking for, they want a guy that is a clear-cut leader of men, as they so often described Mike Tomlin. Not necessarily Mike Tomlin V2, not Mike Tomlin the second, but just someone who is in that same build of being a true leader as the Rooneys see it. So yeah, surprise for sure. And I think they are probably lower on my list. I would have Avero over Hafley. I don't know if that's a crazy take on this.
Nope. I agree with 100%.
And it's strictly because of this ridiculous resume and coaches that Avero has worked under while working his way up. So I would probably take him over Hafley, but both of them are probably, at that 4 or 5 mark behind guys like Chris Scholla, Nate Shieldhouse, even, Brian Flores for me.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Definitely Brian Flores as well. Just in terms of realistically speaking, I've stated my favorites at this point. I am on to what do the Steelers think and how are they going to go. And I agree with everything you say. I do think Avero is higher on my list. And I'm also very excited that Shieldhouse is doing his interview tomorrow. First virtual interview, first interview. It's not going to be the last. This isn't anything more than, it's very interesting that the first name the Pittsburgh Steelers have tossed out there is a quarterback's coach to say, maybe when we get a quarterback, we could have a good coach for a quarterback. Maybe that's the case. And I'm not going to kill everybody's Thursday here, but don't rule out the Steelers drafting a quarterback in the first round. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna leave it there. I'm not gonna hurt anybody's feelings on a Thursday. I'm gonna leave it there. Let's talk.
Nate Shieldhouse, what do you think of Ty Simpson? Was probably the first question of that interview tomorrow, huh?
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna ruin everybody's Thursdays. It's the early weekend. You know what I mean? It's snowing today. We got reasons to smile, I guess. Let's not kill everybody's vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's early in the episode. Let's talk. Let's actually kill everybody's vibe. I'm actually going to say this, but in a different way, more emotional way. For those of you who have not seen it yet or read it, Mike DeFabo of The Athletic, and I will put a link in the description after the podcast is over, wrote an absolutely fantastic story today, taking you behind the scenes of Mike Tomlin's meetings and what happened and the emotions of guys like TJ Watt and Aaron Rodgers and everybody else. And there were two giant quotes that stood out for me, at least. And that was the first one on TJ saying, no, as his eyes filled up with tears as Mike Tomlin was giving his speech, which we're going to talk about what Aaron Rodgers said, obviously. If you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, a true, real, you have watched this football team every Sunday or most Sundays, and you just know it and you bleed it, and this is you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Picturing TJ Watt sitting in a meeting room as Mike Tomlin stood in front of 90 players and said that he was leaving, and TJ getting emotional and saying, no, it is, I have chills just describing it. That is a moment of, it's unreal. It's an unreal moment. It's a moment of heartbreak, to be totally honest, and a moment that made the whole thing so surreal and so very real as this thing went on. Rodgers, on the other hand, rushed up to, and let me read the quote word for word, because I don't want to do it injustice. It quote, in the team meeting room Tuesday, Rodgers, through sobs, mustered one final 2-word message to the coach. I'm sorry. Several players heard him say, I'm sorry. Again, dude, just kind of chills, brings you into reality for a second to realize how much Mike Tomlin truly was loved in that locker room. And I mean, again, a phenomenal piece by DeFabo here, but give me your thoughts on both of those, because gosh darn, they were so simple and yet so deep at the same time.
Yeah, I think that's a really succinct way of putting it. I love when we get to see these superstar elite athletes humanized, right? Like, and say what you want about, like, I saw some stuff from JJ Watt saying, like, and maybe some of these moments should have, like, stayed in the locker room. Like, I imagine sort of trying to preserve the privacy of the moments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but I think
for sure.
for anyone who gets to read that and see that, like, it shows how human these guys are. And it shows that, like, they truly do, despite, there are times where we criticize the performance on the field, but I think it just is a reminder, like, what these people are doing, they put their everything into this. Coaches, staff, players, all the way down. This is what they do. They bleed, they sweat, they die for it, And I think that is what Mike DeFabo captured very well with this article, was that this is a team that has, this is an emotional time for them. And I think regardless of the frustrations with failure, they're going to miss their head coach. And you know what it really truly reminded me of was, I have faint memories, and probably, so it would have been, under 10 when this happened. But I remember watching Hines Ward's interview after the
Oh, the
2004
press
AFC
conference.
Championship. Yeah. And he was like so sad because he thought Jerome Bettis was not going to win a Super Bowl before retiring. And he was apologizing like on the team's behalf for not being able to get it done. And again, it's one of those moments where you're like, no, like there is like this bond, this brotherhood, this fraternity that happens with behind this locker room and within this locker room. And that is just such a moment that my heart truly goes out for the players. As much as I love to be a pessimistic guy, a negative guy, I love to rag on these millionaires as they make money. For a moment, they are just humans going through a really tough situation. I think that's what stuck out to me the most.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's what makes football awesome. And that's what makes this whole thing awesome, is these are like unrealistically large, superhuman like humans playing a child's game, getting paid millions, and we view them as not human, just like bigger than human. And these moments where a 10-year-old kid who looks up to TJ Watt gets to see like, yeah, dude, this sucks. It kind of shows you the respect of Mike Tomlin that we should all have, and how these people really do pour their heart and souls into this. And they care about the people in that locker room. That's my favorite part of this whole thing, is that it really, truly showed you without any pullback whatsoever how much everybody truly loves each other in that Steelers locker room. And you felt it this year. This year felt different than years past in terms of that. You walked in the locker room, you saw the friendships, you saw the camaraderie, you saw how close these guys were. And Mike T is, that's never been a question. TJ Watt said he's only wanted to play for Mike Tomlin. Cam Hayward's got to be, I could only imagine. But at the same time, like, it's a moment where it gives you so much more clarity. And again, shout out to DeFabo in this story, because it pulls back the curtain enough to say, things like Mike Tomlin seemed at peace with the situation and how he said it. And, it just gives you that moment of like, Mike's not going to talk. We're not going to hear from Mike Tomlin for some time. And we're just all going to guess. Everybody's going to sit around wondering what happened and what went down. And this gives us at least some closure to the situation that I think a lot of fans wanted. I, not even like being an outsider of the fan base, I wanted to feel this. I wanted to see this. And I thought it was captured pretty perfectly. So shout out to DeFabo, and shout out to TJ and Rodgers here. I'll ask you questions about both of them. Let's start with Aaron here. What was your thoughts on that moment in terms of if he should have apologized? And do you think he was right to apologize?
No, I don't think it was hit for, I don't think he should be responsible for it and apologize. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, oh man, if only Aaron Rodgers had played better, this team does what they should have done for Mike Tomlin. I think Aaron certainly felt that responsibility, and I think it's totally fair. I think there was a mutual letting down of one another, right? And so I think that's what that quote sort of stood out to me, and that's what that seemed to mean for me. But yeah, if Aaron Rodgers was completely culpable, if he had thrown a ton of interceptions, turned the ball over several times like Houston Texans quarterback CJ Stroud did, like, then I could see him being like, man, I'm really at fault for this. But no, I think it was just, again, like, the only reason he came to Pittsburgh to play this, what is most likely his final NFL season, was because of the magnetism of Mike Tomlin and how much of a strong reputation, how good his reputation was around the NFL as a head coach. So it's, to me, again, it was another one of those moments, just like the two of them, or the two of them plus Cam Hayward walking off the field together. Another one of these moments just showing like how close these two people were, not just as quarterback, head coach, but two guys who clearly had a close bond together formed throughout the 2025 season.
Do you think TJ plays for another head coach in the city of Pittsburgh?
Do I think TJ plays for another head coach in Pittsburgh? Yeah.
In the city of Pittsburgh. You don't think he goes?
No, I think he's here. I think he's a part of whatever this change is, and I think that's, I don't know if, Cam Hayward will be, I don't know if if some of these other veteran voices will be, but I think TJ Watt's probably the one guy, the pillar that they need in 2026 moving forward. So I think he will play for the next coach.
Do you think that it's the coach's decision or Rooney's / Omar's?
I think I think it should be in Omar Khan's hands, right? That is what your general manager is supposed to do.
Yeah.
He gave him this contract. Yes, it would be maybe a bad look, bad business to trade away a guy you gave what was the largest extension to a non-quarterback player 1 year after giving it to him. But if that's what moves his franchise forward after moving on from your head coach of 19 seasons, I think it should be left within the hands of the general manager. I think ultimately it's within the hands of TJ Watt and Art Rooney, and it will be facilitated by Omar Khan if something needs done.
Okay. I think you're right on both. The Rodgers thing in the I'm sorry, I think showed Rodgers as a human, which was cool because I think people don't like Aaron Rodgers. I tried to stay very unbiased towards Aaron Rodgers.
Who doesn't like Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. But I think that everybody has moments of like, I'm a human too, and I feel like you guys, and that's cool. TJ, I saw that. I texted you earlier. TJ, that hit so hard. It was crazy. All right. Let's stop talking about the coaches that were. Let's start talking about the coaches who are usually on Thursdays. We do bold predictions on the games heading into a weekend. Oh, the Pittsburgh Steelers ain't got no games. Not till August. Games are done. What they do have is a coaching search going on here. And I think it's the perfect time to do some bold predictions on it. So we're doing some head coaching search bold predictions here as we head into round 1 of interviews starting tomorrow, which is so exciting. I'll let you kick things off. I got 3 of them. I don't know how many you got. I'm pumped for it. Hit me with it.
50,000. I can play this all day. I got nothing but time. Here's my first one. We're going to start with I would say what is the least bold. But I think it just goes without saying. Art Rooney II didn't give a clear timeline, said it, they're working diligently. They're obviously working swiftly. Here's my timeline, and it's very simple. There will be a new head coach named for the Pittsburgh Steelers before Super Bowl Sunday.
There will be new head coach.
We will know who the head coach will be before Super Bowl Sunday.
So what do we got? 3 weeks?
This February 8th is the Super Bowl.
So we got almost a month. I could see that happening. I could see that happening. Mike Tomlin was hired on January 22nd. So I could see that. I could see them moving quickly. They moved quickly last time. They said this time, we'll take our time. We'll take our time. The only way that they're not, and I'll push back on this, the only way that they don't is if they hire a guy who's in the Super Bowl, which is right now potentially somebody that they're interviewing tomorrow in Nathan Schulhaus, which I freaking love, dude. Freaking love that name. I like that one. All right. I'm going to start with maybe my biggest one, but it's not head coach related. It's head coach adjacent. The Steelers are probably going to be looking for coordinators as well. And there's one name that everybody brings up from the city of Pittsburgh that they say all the time, bring him to the Burgh, bring him back to the Burgh. And it's not Curt Cignetti. Everybody thinks it's Curt Cignetti.
Thank God.
But there are others that people have constantly named throughout the year as replacements for Mike Tomlin. I don't think he gets a head coaching look. I don't think he gets an interview for a head coach. I don't think the Steelers are interested in it. Maybe they do as like a courtesy, but that's about it. But I think Mike McCarthy is one of the finalists for offensive coordinator this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A guy with head coaching experience who could help a young head coach who's won Super Bowls, who I understand has been out of the league for a long time, but he also wasn't the worst. Like his time ending was so abrupt that you were just like, it's weird that it ended the way that it did. I'm saying Mike McCarthy gets a serious look at offensive coordinator from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh man, I cannot express. I hope my laughs did a good enough job. I cannot express how disappointing I would find that to be. Even him being a finalist. And It's not because I think Mike McCarthy is awful. I guess I don't
Yeah.
have a very high opinion of him at this point, but it's because I just do not see him as being like a key piece of innovation for this Pittsburgh Steelers. And while I'm certainly okay with bringing in someone who might be a more veteran voice to help mentor the first couple of years of a young head coach's tenure,
Yeah.
man, I hope it's not Mike McCarthy. I hope it is not. It's not Mike McCarthy. But I mean, hey, dude, I think it's going to get wacky here, right? Like it
Yes.
almost feels, and this kind of leads me into my next bold prediction here. It's almost been a little too on pace, and too not predictable, but like what we all are hoping so far. 7 decent candidates, 7 strong candidates coming in here with requests to interview. Like I'm waiting for it to be like, who's the next guy that's going to be like ridiculous. And so I think that my next bold prediction, I don't have the exact name in mind right now because I keep it purposefully vague, but I think one of the next few interview requests we're going to hear is going to be from a current like XFL coach or like Canadian Football League coach. We are going to get an outside of the box name that no one is expecting, and everyone is just like, how did they find this guy? And that's my number 2. We're going to leave it purposefully vague at that.
I hate that so much. It's not even crazy. Like, I hate it so much. If Mike McCarthy made people vomit, that should make people like have to take themselves to the ER to say, hey, I have been viciously ill for hours now. I don't even know how I have anything left in me. That's what that should do to them. That would be the worst move. Could you imagine being like, hey, you're not even good enough to be a position coach in the NFL? You looking for a head coaching job? You want to come over here to a different league that you don't play in with different rules? Rooney, dude. Rooney. Everyone should send their pigeons right to his car to poop right on him if that happens. Even just an interview. Everyone should do that. That would be atrocious. So worst idea humanly possible. Worst idea humanly possible. I'll feed off of that.
Fair enough.
I'll feed off of it. I think that the Steelers' 7 guys is pretty close to the end here. And my bold prediction, very straightforward, is that there are only 5 more requests coming on top of the 7 that we had. And it could be less than that. I could see as many as 3 or as little as 3. But I'm saying the max that the Steelers go with in terms of interview requests, not even just interviews, but requests, is 12. I don't think they get any higher. And I think maybe an even more realistic number is 10.
Wow. I firmly believe the opposite. I will just make a quick, bold prediction right after to follow that. I think there's going to be more than 15. I think
15.
we are going to get an influx of candidates between now and say next week, next Friday's show. It's going to get crazy. Like, again, I think it's been so wacky, or it hasn't been wacky enough, I should say. It's been
I was going to say, it's been pretty calm.
It's been too calm. It's been too prepared, too poised. I want the wacky. I want the craziness. I want to know why, the head coach of the Woodland Hills football program is getting an interview with Art Rooney. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to talk about on an episode next week.
Do you think that Rooney sits some guys down and Omar sits some guys down after they get the job and they say, hey, look all right, you're not from here. You don't really know what's going on. But there are certain members of this community that we don't touch because they're just yinzers. Danny Smith is one of them. Christian Kuntz is one of, like, you just don't kill the Pittsburgh kids. You can't be doing that. This is a city. We're born here. I get it. You're from flashy LA or Green Bay. You know what I mean? But you might not know the hometown vibe, but you need it. 15, dude. 15 would be, it'd be a lot. There's a lot of names coming. That's a lot of very mediocre names joining this list. That's what that would get to at some point. I will kill and go back on your push one more time as my third prediction here. I think when it's all said and done, Nate Shieldhouse, good old Nathan Shieldhouse, is one of only 4 offensive names on this list. I think there are 3 more coming. I could guess them if you'd like me to, but I don't think that the Steelers interview more than 4 offensive guys when it's all over.
I love that. Let's so we have 3 more offensive guys left. I'll make my final quick bold prediction who those 3 are.
Oh, I like that.
Grant Udinsky.
Okay. Not on my list, but okay.
Okay. I would love to hear your 3. Clint Kubiak.
On my list.
And I'm torn between Mike LaFleur and no, I'll go with the gut. I'll go Joe Brady from the Buffalo Bills.
Joe Brady is also not on my list, although he should be. Clint Kubiak. Okay. Mike LaFleur is a guy that I think is borderline an option here. My second one, you're gonna hate it, is good old Mike McCarthy. It is. And then I'm gonna toss a curveball at you here. I'm gonna toss one your way. Zach Robinson.
It's so funny you say that because I was just asked about him recently, and that's another guy that I think has that head coaching trajectory. Just right now he's hitting he hit a little speed bump.
A little early. Rough year in Atlanta. Probably looking for a new job. Maybe Pittsburgh. Maybe he goes to Pittsburgh.
I like that.
They brought him in last year. They had a lot of interest in Zach Robinson last year as their offensive coordinator. Really, he was top of their list if he didn't go to Atlanta or Raheem Morris immediately. I think Zach is a name to watch. Not serious, but a name that I think they'll bring in. We'll see what happens. All right. That's everything on our agenda. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind All Steelers Talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our members. Shout out to our super chatters. If you got questions, toss them in the chat. Hit that like and subscribe button before we get going here. Really can't thank you guys enough. We're making our way to 60,000, where when we hit it, we will be giving away a signed Deshaun Elliott jersey to one lucky member. And I am so thrilled for that one. Want to give shout outs here to JL Plumber and good old Robert jumping on the members list. Appreciate both of you guys. Make sure that you're calling into the call-in shows for Wednesday. Let's get things kicking here with Maddie. If you had to guess, when is someone hired? You say before the Super Bowl? I think this before the Super Bowl is a really good guess. I do. I think the only thing that holds them back is if somebody is playing in the Super Bowl, because you can't technically hire them until after their season's over. But I think the Steelers will be like, yeah, whatever. Did you hear Rooney laugh yesterday when somebody was like, like the combine? And he was like, yeah, yes, yeah, we'd like to have a coach by the NFL combine. That would be ideal for sure.
If you had to put a range on it, yes, it'd be nice. Right?
Yeah, before preseason at some point, you know what I mean? The draft would be nice, but Omar can handle that
at the latest.
At the latest, maybe. You know what I mean? As long as he's here by the playoffs, who really cares? I'm gonna guess. I think that's the right move before the Super Bowl. I'd say like the week before the Super Bowl, they're hired. Unless they're playing in the Super Bowl, I could see them pushing back. But I think it's gonna move quick in the next 2-3 weeks.
Agreed. And I think that's why I tried to sort of correct my first bold prediction. I'm not sure if there will be a coach hired, but I think we will know for sure within the next 2 to 4 weeks who the head coach is going to be.
Yes, for sure. Keystone Light, Dan Orlovsky must watch the show. He agrees with Marcus Freeman. Did you see Albert Breer say last night that if any team was actually going to pull Marcus Freeman away from Notre Dame, it was going to be Pittsburgh. Do you like, I think some people are really down on Pittsburgh. I think some people are really up on Pittsburgh. I'm really up on Pittsburgh. I just think that it's an organization that's had 3 head coaches in 60 years. Like, why? What makes you think that you're going to get rushed out of this place? They didn't fire Matt Canada for 3 years. 3 years. Like, it took a whole uprise of the fan base for them to be like, you know what? Yeah, we should do that. We should probably get rid of him. When it was clear as day, 13 seconds into his tenure, that he shouldn't have been the offensive coordinator of the Pittsburgh Steelers. To me, it's like you're going to get your chance. Nothing's going to be rushed on you, even if you're not winning football games immediately. I don't know. I think they could pull any coach. That's where I stand.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I certainly I didn't see Albert Breer say that. That makes a ton of sense to me, though, because the Pittsburgh Steelers are probably the closest NFL team that is like any sort of NCAA program. Like, you get the chance to come in and institute, your entire crew, your way of doing things. Yes, the only caveat, though, you get your runway, like you were just saying. You have to sort of find a way to align with the Steelers' way in doing so, and that looks different for a lot of people. And I think maybe not every coach would trade stability for the lack of flexibility during their tenure. And so you look at some guys who might be like the free thinker, innovative types that we all, idealize about being the next head coach. Like, is that the kind of guy who comes in here and just really wants to like slowly build this thing and work within the tradition of this organization? I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
I think that's a good way to put it. I think that's a good way. We're not positive on what people like. I think a Clint Kubiak could look at this job and be like, no chance, brother. Yeah, the things I could go do with Cam Ward compared to Will Howard are just ridiculous, But I think like somebody like a Marcus Freeman or a Chris Shula or Brian Flores will look at it and be like, I could build a culture here. You know what I mean? And I think those are the guys. That's what the Steelers are showing so far. You're spot on with that one. Yinzer Jake, I was at work crying in my welding mask per DeFabo. Shout out to DeFabo, man. It was a great read. It had you locked in from start to finish. Shout out to DeFabo, who, still hasn't texted me back, but whatever. No big deal about it. Whatever. He could just curve us twice in one week, which is not cool, Mike. Not cool.
It hurts our feelings,
A little bit. LKZ, I need coach to go back into NFL coaching ASAP. I love Coach T and the picks that he'll give us in exchange. As how possible do you think it is to get B-Flow, Shieldhouse, and Shula on the staff?
Impossible.
Yeah.
You seem optimistic. Make your state.
I would never say never. And I'll lay out the circumstance. Shula's not leaving LA if he doesn't get a head coaching job, but he's going to get a head coaching job. So you bring Shula in as the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Shieldhouse follows him as an offensive coordinator because he takes that step forward with a familiar face. I don't think that's too far-fetched there. And then Flores doesn't get a defensive coordinator or doesn't get an offensive coordinator job, but he clearly doesn't want to go back to Minnesota because he's interviewing with teams like the Washington Commanders to say, hey, yeah, let me see what's up here. The Atlanta Falcons. Like, what? You're telling me he's not going to want to come to Pittsburgh and be the defensive coordinator here? I think there's an opportunity here, and I think that could those guys that like were head coaches or should have been head coaches or were in that cycle and then they kind of fade back into their position, they tend to bounce around more than just like normal offensive and defensive coordinators, And I think that's the route where I say maybe not impossible. Maybe not impossible. I'm not saying likely. I'm just saying never say never.
Yeah. I think just like where, yes, that case has some strength to it, some merit to it. I'll concede that. I think I disagree. I think the NFL, for the most part, still sees Brian Flores as a head coach. if that changes, right? If he is one of those guys who's just like just a coordinator, right? Then of course the scenario makes a ton of sense. Like I really like Shieldhouse. Like would
Yeah.
not be surprised to see him take a head coaching job in this cycle.
Me neither.
Also would not be surprised if we are a little bit, jumping the gun on him. He's exciting. He has a ton of potential, a ton of talent. He's going to be a head coach one day. Not sure if it's the 2026 season. A lot of that makes sense. I have a hard time not seeing all three guys taking new jobs with new franchises.
Would this become, how much more realistic would this become in your eyes if Brian Flores wasn't in the equation?
I'm so split on whether or not I think the hype on Shieldhouse is real or a little too early or not yet. So like I'd still be torn in that scenario. I think in my perfect world, Chris Scholla is head coach, Nate Shieldhouse is offensive coordinator. Like that sounds like a dream team sort of tandem to kick off your coaching staff rebuild. I just think a lot of other NFL franchises, at least from everything we're hearing and seeing and interviews popping up, they also really want both of these guys on their coaching staff. So
Yes.
I think it's going to be hard to get both of them. And that's why I remain so torn on this possibility.
All right. I like it. Realish. I have to think the Steelers should have traded multiple picks for a quarterback over the last 5 years to get one of the top picks. Don't suck. Trade up.
Trade up to what? I mean, this year, where are you going to trade up? In years past, I agree. Who you want trading up 7-10 spots to get, Ty Simpson?
Brother.
Trading up 20 to get Fernando Mendoza?
You're not trading up to go get Fernando Mendoza. I think Trinidad Chambliss is going to make his way into the first round somewhere. And I think that I think a team like the New York Jets have the capabilities of really screwing that up, and saying, let's go Trinidad at 16. Let's I just think that's possible. Right. I'm not, oh, man. If the NFL draft was today and you asked me what position the Steelers picked in the first round, just from everything that I've been hearing, I'd tell you they're going to take a quarterback. Like, I'd tell you who the quarterback is. I'd tell you who the guy is. I'd pick a name for you. But I think people would get sick and mad at me, and I don't want that to happen. But when Ty Simpson ends up in Pittsburgh, just say, I didn't put it into the universe. I tried so hard to keep it back from the universe, okay? I tried so hard to fight the power of attraction that the Steelers seemingly want to put out there to land Ty Simpson. But
why are you doing this?
I don't feel good about it. I feel it hurts like a lot, okay? It hurts a lot, but Realish, you might get your wish here. You might get your wish, and nobody blame me. Nobody. Michael, why don't we bring in Patriots old coach, good old Billy Belichick? That would be so awesome because I would love to see his girlfriend try to run the Pittsburgh, of all places, try to run the Pittsburgh Steelers. I would love to see whatever her name is walk onto the field during a football game, and for Art Rooney to literally walk down and grab her himself and say, you have to leave. You have to go home. You can't even be in the stadium anymore. Get out of here.
And that's just it, right? Like any real chances of this having any sort of legs is gone because they just would not deal with that. It would not be something they'd entertain even a little bit. Wouldn't try to work around it for the coach, wouldn't try to deal with it. They would just be like, you please don't let the door hit you. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yeah, sorry, got another news update here. But yes, I agree. Just for those who did not hear it, according to Pittsburgh Post-Gazette's Jerry Dulac, the Steelers have told all of Mike Tomlin's assistant coaches they are free to pursue other opportunities and won't be retained unless the new head coach wants to rehire them, per multiple sources. Everyone's gone. Everyone's gone.
Did you see Jalen Warren respond to someone on Twitter and was like, was it? He got a cabancer from Jalen Warren that said that Eddie Faulkner should have been retained. We said that on this show. that's a surprising person. I have to hold out hope that while that is a sort of sweeping declarative statement, the new head coach has some sort of sense to come in here and be like Danny Smith, Eddie Faulkner, Gerald Alexander, maybe Tom Arthur, like guys that can be pretty solid,
Yeah. Yes, I think that some guys will be retained. Here's the process I see that happening with. I think the head coach will come in, he will talk to Omar, and then he will talk to some crucial players. He'll have conversations with Jaylen Warren and DK and Cam and TJ, people that are really respected in the organization, and say like, hey, give me your thoughts on these guys. Give me your realistic thoughts on these guys. He'll ask Dan Rooney, but I think a lot of scouts are gone. I think most of the position coaches are gone. I pray to God Danny Smith comes back, but
again, we burn the city down if he doesn't.
I have a feeling he's not gonna. Like I have a feeling it's over for Danny Smith, which would be absolutely nuts. But I think that should be rule one for sure. That's major news here for sure. And what does it change? I hope not much. I do. Keystone Light, AFC North question. Who do you not want to see in purple in the Ravens? Shout out to Keystone Light. Chris Shula for sure. Clint Kubiak for sure. Those are easily my top two names.
Yes, to the Ravens.
To the Ravens.
If the Browns hire either of them, you will immediately hear me be like, "Oh, you know what?
Dude,
I actually don't think either of them are good coaches."
Yeah,
like, you'll hear me change tunes immediately.
Mike Tomlin could go to the Browns. I'd be like, they're probably gonna win 6 games. You know what I mean? Like
terrible coach,
terrible hire, terrible. You're going to the Browns, dude. They're gonna just suck no matter what they try to should do. It's just the Ravens though. Whew. You put a good coach in Baltimore, they're good. They're a scary team.
You put Nate Scheelhaus with the Baltimore Ravens.
Yeah.
I poop myself a little
bit.
That's
you
true.
Know what I mean?
That's a little comes out.
Yeah.
I'm like, gulp, and a little comes out.
That's terrifying. I think any offensive-minded coach in Baltimore, I'm sitting there going, this is a disaster. This is so. Go offer all your picks for Joe Burrow right now, because you can't. You gotta find something.
Your only option. Nuclear.
Broderick, I'm hungry edition of start bench cut, Italian hoagie, Italian stromboli, or antipasta salad. All phenomenal here.
I'm always going sandwiches and unhealthier options over a salad.
For sure.
Don't tell my wife. So it's pretty easy here.
You can tell mine. Don't tell my doctor.
Yeah, please don't tell my doctor. He hates it. But yeah, I think stromboli, hoagie, salad.
That's the right call there. That's the right call. Italian stromboli is pretty much just a warm Italian hoagie, and is
just more dough.
Yeah, a little dough, and what I do is I dip it in a little olive oil, and oh gosh, it's a little extra olive oil. That's it, dude. Any pasta, love you. You could go home. You can go home tomorrow. James, Bill had 11 wins. Tomlin had 10. What's the thoughts on first year record? Bill Cowher had 11. Tom had 10. Tomlin had 10. What's the thoughts on a first year record? 9.
Well, I think Chuck Noll had like 5.
Yeah.
Right. So just to keep the sample size clean here. I think 9's a great answer, right? Like the expectation should not be we will be one of the worst teams in the NFL next year just because we have a new head coach. I also don't think it's realistic to be like this team will run the AFC North again with a new head coach. But yeah, I think an 8, 9, 10 win team is probably where that's my baseline expectation.
Yes. You said an 11, 12 win team. Is that what you
said?
No,
8 to 10 win team. If they could get to 11 and 12,
that'd be crazy. I'd say 8 to 10. I'd say this is a non-terrible team. Probably not great. Non-terrible is a really good way to put it. I think right in that less than 10, 8 feels like a good number. You know what I mean? Snaps the losing streak. You're going, dang it, that's annoying. And then everybody's gonna freak out. They're gonna be like, oh, this guy sucks. Get him out of here. And I'm very excited for that, because I just want to see the world erupt a little bit. I like chaos sometimes. I'm a big chaos guy. Realish I was referring to the past quarterback classes. I think this class sucks. I think the Steelers need to trade down this season and really trade up for the 27 class. Oh, realish. I've got worse news for you then. I had good news for you. Now I have awful news. Just the worst news I could give to you. I will repeat myself. I think if this NFL draft happened today, I'd guess the Steelers are taking a quarterback in the first round. And that is not a want. It's a guess. It's a prediction. It's an educated prediction.
It ain't a prediction. It's what it's going to be. Mickey Valancourt. Dude, why are you bumming me out so much today? This is crazy. First, the Mike McCarthy stuff. I was fine to overlook the Mike McCarthy stuff because you're entitled to your opinion. But like, this is craziness. And I know, don't shoot the messenger, but
yeah,
gosh darn, this is crazy. That's crazy.
It sucks a little bit. It hurts. It hurts like a lot, a little bit. But you know what, guys? You want to know what I love to do? I'll try to hype him up a little bit. I'll try to give him a little bit of juice as he's going out there.
Why?
I just try to be a good guy. You know what I mean?
Is that your job?
I try to make people feel good. Okay, man. If I got to be the bearer of bad news, I got to somehow bring some light at the end of the tunnel. And then it just goes black because the tunnel collapsed before you got to the end, and you can't turn around. You just have to stare at rocks for the rest of time. It sucks, but I try to give you some hope before that happens. I try so hard.
Thank you, sir.
Buddhist. I get this quarterback class ain't great, but at what point do we stop kicking the can down the road and just go take a shot at a young QB we can build around? I think my issue with this year's class, and I'm not saying that you're saying the Smootest, I'm just replying. I think my issue with this year's class is that it gives me so strong of Kenny Pickett class vibes. So strong. And I just like, you can't do that. You set yourself back 5 more years. 5 more years if you did that. And it's just so long. That's so long. So it makes me so nervous to miss on a quarterback. And I get it. Chances are you're going to miss on a quarterback. But it makes me so nervous to do it a second time in just like a bad draft class. If it was a good draft class, cool. But in a bad draft class, it's like it's the writing's on the wall. That's the hardest part.
I just there's not a single quarterback outside of Fernando Mendoza that gives me any sort of optimism or confidence, at being a franchise quarterback. And while I will have and will continue to express this frustration with like, why are they kicking the can down the road on getting a franchise quarterback? Something they have done since 2020. This is something that they continue to do. I don't like it one bit, but that does not mean that you have to, you make a rush decision and you take Ty Simpson at 21. It's a terrible move, right? It's one thing to take. It was bad to take Kenny Pickett when they did. I think it will be the same mistake repeated a couple of years later. So later, second round, take a reach if he's still there. Sure. Now I'm like, all right, you're just kind of like hoping for the best, but no, you cannot rebuild around Ty Simpson or Trinidad Chambliss, in my opinion. You might get some excitement, but nothing more.
No. You're going to get excited. You're going to bring excitement. You're going to be excited. You're going to be like, oh, this is so exciting. No, you're going to vomit.
For like a day, but then I'll be mad as hell.
I'll be so disappointed as I'm eating my Chick-fil-A at 11 p.m. Shout out to the draft. Hannibal, Ty Simpson can't be worse than Kenny Pickett, right?
Who has bigger hands?
Ty Simpson, for sure. I mean, babies.
Does he?
Babies have bigger hands. I have bigger hands than Kenny Pickett, dude. Like,
that's what inspired that Whopper commercial. That's what people don't know.
That was it. Everybody has bigger hands than Kenny Pickett. Everyone in the world. I would say this. I think Ty Simpson has a better opportunity than Kenny. I do. But they look a lot of the same. They look like the same guy to me. They look like, honestly, what Ty Simpson already looks like Kenny Pickett looked in the NFL, and Kenny Pickett didn't look that way in college. Kenny Pickett looked good in college. Ty Simpson looks like Kenny Pickett once he got to the NFL, which scares me.
Whew. Yeah, keep. This is great. This is making us all feel so much better about what the Steelers will do in April.
Yankowski. I think Tomlin to TV for a year, and then he will coach Tampa. Big ties there, and a coach in the hot seat. I do think Tampa is a good landing spot for Mike Tomlin in a year. I could see that happening. However, DeFabo's thing said it, like, or was it DeFabo's that he made, or Christian Kuntz? Christian Kuntz said it on his podcast today that Tomlin made it like abundantly clear to them that he had no interest in coaching another team. Like he has none. It did very much so sound like a retirement to Mike Tomlin. And I'm starting to kind of believe it. It's weird because Tomlin has always struck me as a guy that is just fully addicted to this thing and wouldn't want to do anything else. But for the time being, I can't see him in a coaching table or in a coaching seat. Like for the next couple of years, when Bill Cowher retired, it kind of felt the same way. It was like, okay, he's stepping away and it kind of feels like he's still young enough where he's going to come back. And then he just never did. And I could see that being Tomlin. I don't think he goes to television. I think he just goes and spends a year with his family for right now. Although I can only imagine what the ESPN offer is going to be when they say, hey, come host the draft with us in Pittsburgh and be the former head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers talking on television in Pittsburgh on ESPN. I mean, way more than he'd ever get as a head coach. I think for right now, I don't see Tomlin coaching for at least 2 to 3 seasons.
Dude, I agree. That's why I said on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I said it again. I was chatting with our good buddy Nick Belsky recently about this as well. There's no, don't dampen your expectations regarding a Mike Tomlin trade and any sort of compensation coming back, because that guy's not interested in coaching. I think to go so starkly from, was it less than a month ago where he referred to himself as institutionalized when it comes to him and coaching, with how much he needs it, how he doesn't, he spends all his time in the dark room going through film. Like, to go from that to I'm stepping down from the team is pretty sharp. That doesn't tell me like, oh, I'm doing this because I really want to go coach the Buccaneers next year. Like, that tells me like I'm done with this. Yeah. I don't want to do this. And to take a step back and look at it from a wider lens for a second, you tell me there's a coach who has been in the NFL for 19 years, been in the playoffs a bunch, won a Super Bowl, has won 190 games or whatever it is. You're like, he might not want to coach anymore. You know what I mean? I think just because it's Mike Tomlin and he's 53, it changes that entire landscape and perspective. But he could be done, and it would be a very accomplished NFL head coaching career.
Super accomplished. One of the Hall of Fame jacket easy. I agree with that 100%. Cody Silva, Sawyer Robinson in the 5th. I'm looking him up right now. Baylor Bears.
He's Mr. Robinson.
He's Baylor's quarterback. That's what I look at. I think they're going to go earlier than that. If you're going to draft a quarterback in this draft, sure, go 5th, 6th, 7th round guy. Just stay away from the first round. But that's not what they're going to do. They're going to go with the freaking first round quarterback and say, let's just do it again because we love it so much. But maybe a coach does that. Maybe if you didn't have Matt Canada, Kenny Pickett is a feasible quarterback. Maybe. I have no idea.
Yeah, maybe. Just maybe.
Like feasible. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe he's Brian Johnson. Like maybe that's what he turns into. Maybe he just is the guy that gets you there. Rex Grossman made it to a Super Bowl. You just never, you don't have to be Peyton Manning.
Grossman did make it to a Super. Yeah. Jake Delhomme went to a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Jake Delhomme, dude. These things, you don't have to be Peyton Manning to win a Super Bowl.
Sometimes you can be Eli.
Sometimes you could be Eli. And maybe Kenny could have became a worse Eli. Maybe that could have happened. And maybe Ty Simpson could be him. Diamond, I would like Brian Flores for head coach, Nate Scheelhaase as offensive coordinator, Raheem Morris as defensive coordinator, and Trinidad Chambliss or Taylon Green as a quarterback. I like this setup 100%. I'd go Chambliss over Taylon Green, but I got no issues with this. I don't think it'll happen, although Raheem Morris, I think, is very much so on the table with a lot of these names. He's got a lot of connections in the NFL. I'm sure Omar has heard great things about him because of Tomlin. I could see that one. I could also see Trinidad Chambliss, who I've already declared the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback in my mind, even if it's not going to happen. The rest of them, I don't know. I will say I don't think Shieldhouse comes to Pittsburgh if Shula doesn't.
So wait, say that again. Only if Shula comes, you think Shieldhouse comes?
As an offensive coordinator.
Gotcha. So we don't get one without the other.
No. I think that if Shieldhouse comes as a head coach, different. But I think that if he's coming as an offensive coordinator, it's not without Shula.
Gotcha. I think I think I agree with that for sure. I really hope Raheem Morris is the next defensive coordinator.
Me too. I think that guy is a stud and head coaching. I just think he fits the mold of what you're looking for. But again, it's not us and it's not Rooney. It's gonna be whoever the coach is that hires him. Which Shula's got a connection there. TK, does Tomlin watch the Steelers games next year? Great question. I would have a hard time believing Tomlin doesn't watch the games next year.
What does he do now? Like
hangs out in like it's one of his 11 houses, dude. Just like,
oh yeah, man, that's gonna be hard. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to get used to that.
He's got like 2 of them in the Hamptons. Like the guy is I've never been to the Hamptons. I can't afford to even walk the streets there, but I'm sure I'm sure there are things to do. You know what I mean? I'm pretty positive there are things to do there.
You're right.
Retired with your wife, I think there are things that could be done. He's going to spend a lot of time at the University of Georgia watching their gymnastics program. That's probably about it. So I would say yes.
Wait, who's that? Does he have a kid there?
Yeah, his daughter's there. His daughter's on the gymnastics team.
He just loves collegiate gymnastics.
He'd be real open about it. He will tell you. He'd say, I love it way more than football. He's addicted to it a little bit. But I've also heard that those girls are gymnastics girls in college are crazy because
I watched Dancing with the Stars with my wife.
Same
thing. It wasn't me who asked to watch it, for the record. Wink. No, it was. Yes. I love that show. Love it so much. And Jordan Childs, I want to say, was one of the contestants, and she's at, I want to say, like LSU or something for gymnastics, and is an Olympic gold medalist already. And you're like, holy Lord, the accomplishments that these women have done before like 25. And I'm like, man, glad I'm wearing my Old Navy flannel today.
My sweatshirt matches my hat, and that's one of the coolest things I've ever done in my whole life. So agreed. I agree. Who are we now, Salad? You can't let Shazier go Rooney. Shazier wasn't on the roster or wasn't on the coaching staff this year, actually. He was not around. Yeah. He was not. Last year he was the like assistant running backs coach. This year he was not part of the staff. He was not on there. He wasn't even there on game days. I didn't see him one time. I don't even know if he's still in Pittsburgh.
Just gonna say I didn't see him at practice one time this year. I think I remember seeing him up at St. Vincent's like once. And I think maybe he was at the Houston Texans game, like with some of the other Steelers alumni.
That could be.
But he has not really been involved at all. I wonder, I wonder what he's up to right now. We should look into that. I wonder who can find out that information. Are there any like journalists that cover the Steelers?
I don't know if I know any, but we can maybe look it up. But I don't. He wasn't on the staff this year, and I don't really know. I don't think he was under an official position last year. I think he just showed up and wanted to help. And this year they maybe just didn't bring him back. Dan, I don't get the Shula hype. Seeing his mic'd up vid, the dude seems like a weenie. Let's ride Shieldhouse. If he is offensive coordinator, we lose him in 2 years max. I'm okay with losing an offensive coordinator. That's people complained about a coaching tree for 19 years in Pittsburgh. I'm okay with losing an offensive coordinator. The weenie? Shieldhouse seems like a weenie. I kind of like this mic.
Not Shieldhouse,
Shula. I kind of like this video. It's like ESPN video. He's like, everybody thinks it's my grandpa, but it's me. And I was like, my guy.
Yeah. You know what I think is like really important to know after seeing that video? How tall is Chris Shula?
Short.
Oh.
Short.
Oh, no. This changes everything.
Why?
he might just be like he might have too much of a chip on his shoulder. Maybe that, because sometimes when people are like they got everything to prove, sometimes to me I'm like, that's a weenie. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you don't have to try that hard to be impressive. Like you're good. So I don't know. If you're telling me this man's under 5'8", he might be a weenie. But he's been one of my top candidates, so I don't want to go there. That seems like a really
I got a hard time with it. Maybe I got to meet him. You know what I mean? And when I'm at the combine, I will make sure that I run into him somewhere. But I'm sure I'll meet him before then if he's hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers. But either way, I gotta know. I'll just look for
how
all
tall are you?
Double R, what's your 2026 quarterback solution then? Kyler Murray. It's Kyler Murray, dude. I'm going to remain saying it's Kyler Murray or it's Kirk Cousins or it's somebody that sucks. But if I had to guess, it's Kyler Murray. He's going to end up somewhere else. The Arizona Cardinals don't want him. They're going to retain a bunch of money to get rid of him. They're going to trade him somewhere for cheap, like Justin Fields got traded for cheap. He's going to end up in Pittsburgh, and whoever the head coach is going to make sure that they can do something with Kyler Murray, and that's what's going to happen. Like it or not, that's what's going to happen. Or it's going to be Ty Simpson.
Oh, God.
Pick your poison.
Oh, my God. That literally, like, would you rather consume arsenic or more arsenic? There's nothing good about either of those options. And neither is the solutions that I'm going to propose here. And I said this yesterday, Malik Willis is probably the only person that you can come in here and you're going to do a stopgap situation one more time.
Yeah.
And you have to hope that 2027 actually has a draft class that people come out and you are able to get a quarterback, because I just believe firmly if you waste an early pick on a Ty Simpson, you're not getting anything realistic. If you go out and get Kyler Murray, you're just doing the same thing, but with more effort. And the same thing, I mean, stopgap situation once again. So just go get a free agent. I don't really care who. It's not going to be that great, and you hope you can win 9 games with them, and then you go draft somebody else.
I agree that that's what they should do. It's going to be Kyler Murray or Ty Simpson. And that's going to look, you know what? To hide the pain of your back tattoo as you're getting it, I will just show you a picture of Kyler Murray and Ty Simpson throwing passes next to each other at training camp, because it'll be roughly the same time when we hit 100,000 subscribers, and you'll just, you know what I mean? It'll distract. It's like when your dad flicked you in the cheek when you hurt your hand or something. You know what I mean? And you're like, what was that for? Well, your hand doesn't hurt anymore. That's what it is. I got you, brother. I got you. That's what I'm here for. Miguel, the Steelers need an actual rebuild, not of this retool on the fly BS. It's starting to feel like a majority of the fan base is happy to revel in mediocrity and not willing to make the sacrifice necessary. I disagree with this. I don't think that the Steelers need a rebuild. I think that they are a quarterback away and obviously a coaching staff away from being like a pretty serious team. They have a lot of building blocks. Their offensive and their defensive line is really good. They have a tight end. They have a wide receiver. They have a running back. Hopefully they retain Kenny G and have 2 running backs. They have a young inside linebacker. They have a really good corner in Joey. Do I think that you need a lot of pieces? Yeah. Do I think that you got to tear to the studs and start over? No. I think that you are 5 important pieces away from being like a really good team. Really good team. And a coaching staff.
I think what I heard you say is they're still a good bit away from being a championship team.
Oh yeah, for sure. But they're not a rebuild team. They are miles ahead of the Tennessee Titans and Cleveland Browns. Miles ahead. And they should not at all go more towards the Tennessee Titans or Cleveland Browns in order to get further away. That's what I'm trying to say, is they are not a rebuilding team. They are a retooling team. And do they need a lot of pieces? Yes. But the Tennessee Titans need an entire team. You know, the Browns need everybody but Myles Garrett. The Jets don't even exist. So that's what I'm saying in this, is I just think that there are levels to it, and I just don't think they're anywhere close to a rebuild team.
I don't think they are a rebuilding team. I think they're closer to a rebuilding team than maybe you want to admit. and then that does not mean that they are as close to the Tennessee Titans and Cleveland Browns, though. Like there's a long way in between.
Yes, yes. Diamond, I think Tomlin's pride took a hit when the fire chance and his heart broke when his former players said the Steelers need to move on from him. I do think that he heard that noise. Obviously, I do think that he, kind of saw the writing on the wall. I think the best part of everything that we've heard in the last couple of days is that Tomlin told his guys that this is best for the organization. And I think that's the coolest thing ever for him to say, I got to put my ego to the side and I got to do what's best for the organization that I love. And I think that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that was a big respect thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for Mike Tomlin in a way that I'm, I have a lot of respect for.
For sure. I think it, again, like we talked about, these people, they're human beings, right? Like, I cannot imagine that it felt good to hear that, right? Like he responded, I think, admirably. I think he did said all the right things, and sure, but I think it had to have hurt him in some level. How much did it impact his decision? How much was it a part of his, choice to step away? I don't think as much, because I think the competitor in him overrides the sort of, fan discontent. But I think it was, a small piece of it.
Yes. Yes. Jay, I felt like I lost a family member when Tomlin stepped down. It's 86 degrees in LA today, so I'm feeling much better. Is Dan Rooney involved with the team? First off, Jay, no need to brag. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? No, look, it's 11 degrees here. I went outside to go get a coffee. I said, I'm going to walk down the street. I got to the stop sign and turned around and said, I'm going to drive. That's awful. I'm 2 blocks from a coffee shop. Couldn't make it half. Yeah, Dan Rooney's going to be involved. To what degree, I don't know, but I do anticipate he's in meetings and he's in interviews and he has a say in this. I think him being there with Omar when Rooney held his press conference was telling, definitely symbolized something. And I do imagine that he's going to be pretty involved.
I hope so. I think they need the full, a large brain trust, kind of going at this. And because again, you cannot they're not picking, if you think you're just getting Mike Tomlin again, or if you're just going to find the next Bill Cowher, like, I don't think the results are going to be what they expect. So I think you need your multiple perspectives here to sort of get the Steelers where they need to go.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Agreed. Danny Smith in the Jigba. We will hear from Tomlin. Will we hear from Tomlin at any point? Also, does Tomlin have any clothes without Steelers logos? Get that man an AST shirt. I should for sure. Shout out to Mike T. I hope he does. I mean, his wife is a fashion designer, so you'd hope. But I've never seen him without one ever in my life. We've gone to dinner multiple times. Man shows up in a Steelers shirt. Always. Like, always. I don't know when the next time we'll hear from Mike Tomlin is. I think it'll be a very sudden last second announcement, kind of massive on the Pat McAfee show or the Rich Eisen show. I think that's what will happen. And I think it will be kind of out of the blue. But for right now, my anticipation is not anytime soon. And when it does happen, it will be a massive, super duper massive. Nate Moore, breaking news: Chris Shula spotted at Weenie Hut. We're not starting the weenie in the Shula here. All right, don't kill my dreams.
Hut.
I've already ripped down so many dreams today. We don't need to continue to rip them down here. DK, just bring Justin Fields back.
That would make you so happy, huh?
It would, actually. I'd be so thrilled. Justin Fields is my guy. Shout out. I hope so. Look at easy. He's an easy, little easy guy. Easy guy. Just saying. You bring in an offensive-minded coach, I think Justin Fields could win you 9 games, which is exactly what you said he needs to do. So I think he could do it.
That's it.
Miguel, if the Steelers were 5 pieces away, they wouldn't have gotten embarrassed last week. I disagree with this too. I think they were less pieces away last week than 5, because they had Aaron Rodgers, who's not the worst quarterback in the world, played like the worst quarterback in the world. I mean, the Steelers got embarrassed like that when they didn't have missing pieces a couple of years ago when Ben and Marquise Pouncey and them played the Cleveland Browns in a game where the Steelers should have went undefeated that season and lost like 35-14 or something, whatever it was. And we're down 25-0 at half. Like, I think that was a Tomlin thing.
I think I just disagree with part of the premise here from Miguel. Like, I think being like 5 pieces away is like pretty impactful, right? Like, if you don't like, and just the Steelers didn't have a wide receiver 2, they didn't have a real left guard, they didn't have a real middle linebacker, and they didn't have 2 good safeties, right? So that's 5 players away.
I didn't even include safety because you have Deshaun.
Right. Well, sure, but I mean, like, in
left tackle though.
Left tackle is a great replacement for that one too, right?
Corner
like,
too.
Just being, 5-6 pieces away. That I think that is a huge difference between, being a playoff team and being a real Super Bowl team, right?
Yeah,
because a lot of teams are 5, 6, 7 pieces away. Not a lot of teams, have all of those roles filled properly. That's the difference.
Yes. And it all depends on how quickly you could fill them. You go into a draft and you land 3 starters in the first 3 rounds that turn out to be Hall of Famers. Like, there it is. Now you're 2 pieces away. And depending on what those pieces are, vary significantly. So I think I agree with you. You like the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, the New England Patriots are not 5 pieces away. They might have 1 weak link. The Steelers have a lot. Reality sucks. Several. Bold prediction. We trade Watt on draft day to move up for our future quarterback. Draft is in the Berg. We are definitely making a big splash move. Could you imagine any reality worse than trading TJ Watt to go get Ty Simpson at pick 15 in the NFL draft? Can you picture anything? Could you picture a more embarrassing moment for the franchise of the Pittsburgh Steelers than to do that?
The city's going to boo so loudly. It's going to be like, people are going to be like mad, upset, embarrassed about how the city was, how they conducted themselves if the Steelers announced Ty Simpson's name in the first round of this draft. They might push that stage into the river.
They should not. They should, if they did trade TJ, they should by 0 chance say it was a trade. They should just be like, we messed up, dropped. We didn't realize the Steelers were actually picking right now. No one look on Twitter. The pick's Ty Simpson, and just let the booze go, because you trade TJ for Ty Simpson, you might not leave that city. It could be scary. Savage, what's your pick 3? I'm thinking 2 Kubiaks, 1 Shula or Shula.
Sounds kind of
Steelhouse for him. There's a lot going on there. For a quarterback, I'd rather try to snag Burrow for a couple of years over the draft. Oh, I'd go Burrow all day. I'd give up 3 draft picks for Joe Burrow. He'd never come to Pittsburgh though. What's your pick 3? I'd go Steelhouse, Shula, Kubiak. 1, 2, 3. Boom, boom, boom. And not in that order.
Yeah.
I'm just picking 3. In my order, it's Kubiak, Clint Kubiak, Shula, Steelhouse.
Yeah. I'm not double dipping on the Kubes. You know what I mean? I don't want 2 Kubiaks. Some people it's double your pleasure, double your fun. For me, that seems like just no. So I'll take Shula, Steelhouse, and Raheem for sure in that pick 3.
Yeah. Broderick, rebuilding the coaching staff, retooling the roster. We're going to win a playoff game sooner rather than later. You'd hope so. I think the coach has 1 go round to not win a playoff game before Art Rooney goes, we can't do this again. We have to figure something else out. Maybe it's just me, maybe it's us, but you'd have to win a playoff game. If you were in the playoffs, you couldn't win. You couldn't lose 3 playoff games in a row. But I agree. I think the Steelers are, I think in the next 4 years, the Steelers are like, I don't want to say back, but back. They're again, they're another contender in the AFC in the next 4 years. I think you could do a lot in 4 years. You could also mess it all up.
An entire team. You can,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. The entire life cycle of an NFL team can happen in 3 to 5 years. You can go from the best team to the worst team, or from a bottom feeder to a Super Bowl contender. So yeah, I think that's a totally fair timeline.
Yeah. Renegade Minka, Noah, 2 quick questions. What career/players contract did Tomlin end? Too bad Tomlin won't be present for the draft in Pittsburgh. Do you agree? I very much so agree that it's a bummer he won't be present in Pittsburgh. I also, at the same time, though, I don't think he'd be at the draft. He'd be in Southside. What players/contracts? I don't think he ended any. Like Terrell Austin's was already over. He didn't take anybody with him. Everybody just got fired, but he didn't take anybody with him. But I think for right now, it's like we're just kind of waiting and seeing. That's what's going on here. Lance, some say our job opening is the worst of a lot because we have no direction at quarterback.
Cleveland.
Yeah, like I just say, yeah. Like I think there are a couple of teams that do have a direction at quarterback, but like Atlanta's in a worse spot than us. Vegas has a quarterback though coming. He's got Fernando Mendoza.
You're taking a big risk on this guy.
I agree, but I think that's you're taking a big risk on the Steelers never getting a quarterback or the Browns sucking forever. Fernando Mendoza is not the worst thing in the world, or trying to turn Michael Penix and Kirk Cousins into something usable.
Repair the torn Penix.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think at the end of the day, the Steelers are a desirable place, and I think people overreact who are kind of saying the other when it comes to that.
I hear you. I think that's fair.
Maddie, what is the process in terms of interviews? They'll go through their first round of interviews. They'll conduct all of them. I'd say, like Jacob, somewhere around 10 to 15. And then they'd go into a second round of interviews. From there, they would conduct them, and then they'd pick and hire a coach. I think it's 2 rounds usually. Sometimes they do 3, but it's typically just 2 rounds of interviews, and then you kind of know who the guys are by the end of it. Yeah. 412 show. When Tomlin slated, he had Dick LeBeau, or when Tomlin started, he had Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians to guide him. Does it worry you that they're presumably cleaning house? No, just because the guys that are here are not Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians. They're like the janitors of Dick LeBeau and Bruce Arians. So I just, if they were a good coaching staff, yes, I'd say you got to keep some of these guys. And I still think you keep some position in Danny Smith, but I think overall, no, it doesn't worry me too much.
Not even a little bit.
Any coaches too intimidated to fill coaching shoes? If that's the case, and that I want to riff off of that. And Nate's here. Does Rooney saying we will compete every year deter coaches from wanting to come to Pittsburgh? Fear of not succeeding, which leads right into this. Any coaches too intimidated to fill coaching shoes? Like, you don't belong as a head coach if you're too scared to do that. You don't. You shouldn't want them as a head coach, no matter how good they are, because that is not a culture builder. That's a weenie. That's a big weenie.
It's a huge one. Like that is the Dodger dog, an L7 weenie. You know what I mean? And that's, I don't think there's any of these coaches worth, you don't become a defensive offensive coordinator, a pass game coordinator, etc., unless you want to become a head coach and you are unafraid to. They all think they can replace Mike Tomlin. That ain't an issue.
Yeah. And if you don't, you stink. You stink. 412 show. Does Tomlin leave an Iron City beer in the fridge like Cowher did for him? I think the beer is still in there, actually. So I think he probably just left it for the next guy, which is disgusting and kind of awesome.
Pop the top on that, brother.
Let's get a kick in here, and let's finish it off here with Pittsburgh Hornets. If you had to repick the entire coaching staff with former Steelers players, who do you go with?
Wow.
This is a good question. This is a really good question.
I don't know who I'd want for head coach.
Head coach is the hardest position. Offense, I'm going Antoine Randall. You're
Easy
already
pick.
there. Easy pick. Defense. Oh, I'm going Larry. To be honest with you, head coach, I might go Larry Foote.
Oh, he'd be a great. That's a That's a
good pick.
culture setter. That's a
Yeah.
culture setter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's your
But
D
now-
coordinator then?
I don't know, because it was Larry Foote.
was-
Larry Foote was the guy. Maybe Joey Porter. Maybe Joey Porter Sr. He's got coaching experience.
bring him back.
He's got coaching experience. He's not,
Mhm.
it wasn't the greatest, but he's got it. It's there. Started the
Is,
TJ Watt journey.
Tony Dungy want to come back?
Tony Dungy, you know what I mean?
He could be D
87-year-old
coordinator.
Tony Dungy. That would be not terrible. Mike Vrabel, former Pittsburgh Steeler. He's the head coach.
Oh, there we
And
go.
then Larry Foote's the defensive coordinator. Bada bing, bada boom. Did it. We did it. Figured it out. They're winning a Super Bowl with that.
You're welcome.
Just saying. FIFA Justin Howard and go wide receiver round 1 with Shula and Shielhaus. I wouldn't like it, but I would respect it. I would definitely respect it. And we'd see what happened. All right, y'all. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. As always, find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way out of here. We are getting close to 60K, and I can't thank you guys enough for that one. And we'll be back tomorrow. Until then, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.